It's another video where I talk too much and you all get upset because I talk too much and I don't make any memes, but I don't give a f. Sometimes you get memes and other times you're out of luck. It's a talking video. Probably just lost about 100 subscribers. What's up, K McDonald? It's your boy here, K Machiavelli 2021, with another video where I talk for too long and you get really sick of listening to me talk. You know your boy is Genty Supreme, so today we're going to talk about some djent albums. We're going to talk about some albums that came out between 2007 and 2010/11, and we're going to see if they still hold up in 2018. You probably already guessed that because I probably titled it something relevant to that. Hopefully I did that, but I can't trust myself because I'm stupid. Oh, I need to bring the mouse over this one. If you were a djenty boy in 2007 like me, you probably know some of these albums. If you don't know some of these albums, I would definitely recommend them. Some of them nowadays just aren't for me, but we're going to talk about that. This was the first studio release of Born of Osiris that I'd heard. They'd done several EPs with different names because they couldn't decide what name they wanted. So for me, this was one of the first albums where I'd heard progressive metal and like cheesy synths mixed in together where it actually worked. The album also had a lot of memorable moments, such as the intro to Bow Down where the singer literally just screams. As well, the band also re-recorded and re-released this album completely fresh. I don't know why they did it, but you know what? It's better than just a remaster. They also added a new like old song, but new unreleased song. They added an unreleased song to the end of it, and it just goes to show you how talented these guys were, because they were very young when they recorded this stuff. So it just goes to show you how talented they were. Sadly, I'm not too into them these days, although the Discovery is a masterpiece. I'm giving this a yes. Now, had this album not been re-released and re-recorded, I would be saying no right now, because that album, the original version of that album, there is no way it would have held up in 2018. But damn, they made the right choice of re-recording it with a new vocalist, adding real drums into it. Jesus Christ, what a f***ing album. This is such a showcase of like guitar skills. The two guitarists know exactly what they're doing. Overall, just the production, the guitar work, the drums, the vocals, it's an absolute masterpiece, and it's a master class on how to write a 10 out of 10 album. So 100% yes. Also, rest in peace to Justin Lowe. In my opinion, this album should hold up as like a staple to the genre for many reasons. Without this band, we probably would have never had Monuments and never had Tesseract, and I don't want to imagine a world without those two bands. To be honest, this band is like the infinity gauntlet of djent bands right now. It's got all the stones you want, the Ackle Stone, the Brown Stone. To be honest with you, I don't really know what else to say about this album. All I can say is it's incredible. Go check it out, and it's a yes. I'm starting to feel cringy doing this. It's a yes, dude! But you know what else am I supposed to do? Now this is where my first negative vote comes in. This is Circle of Contempt, Artifacts in Motion. I used to listen to this album quite a lot when I was younger. I would put this album on and just play through some Xbox games, and I think that's where the problem lies. When I tried to focus on this album recently, re-listening to it for this video, I realised how repetitive it is. It's pretty much the same song through the entire album with some extra bits added in. A lot of people probably like that, but nowadays it's just not something I'm into. There's no song that really breaks the mold for me. It seems like everything's pretty much the exact same. You've got really fast staccato picking, and then you've got a big melodic section, and then just rinse repeat over and over again until the album's pretty much done. You'd probably be into this album if you like that kind of stuff. There is some interesting parts, like the instrumental track, for example, but does the whole album add up? That's the first thumbs down I've did. It looks like... This is Veil of Maya with ID, or ID, or Intellectual Delicacy. This is an album that I didn't really like when I first heard it. It sounded like a mix between, like, if you asked a death metal band to write a soundtrack for a B movie or something. But over the years it grew on me quite a lot. It just took a lot of listens, and then before you know it, I actually love the album. It's a very unique album for when it was released. It's not even so much a djent album. It's probably unfair to list it under that, but it came out in an era where that sound was really starting to develop, and they were one of the bands that for some reason were seen as a part of it. It's very technical, it's very fast tempo for what a lot of bands were doing in the genre those days. But again, I don't really have anything else to say on this album. There's nothing really taken away from it, and it still holds up in 2018 because the guitar work in it is still very much unique in a way. So I'm going to give this one a thumbs up. This must be a standout album for a lot of people because it is to me. I remember my brother letting me hear the Misha Mansour demos. They just posted on several different websites for ages, and a lot of them were instrumental, finally waiting for a vocalist. After they had Casey Sabo and Chris Barretto do some demo stuff, they finally settled on Spencer and they released a self-titled, and that album is... It was so nice to hear all these demo tracks that I'd heard before, polished up with some vocals and made into a final product. Also, race car at the end of this album, come on, come on. Come on. Sometimes I'll put a few tracks on the album just for old time's sake and end up sitting through the entire album. So for that reason I'm giving this thumbs up. This album kind of falls under the same category as the Circle of Contempt album, only it's not as technical. It's very, very one-sided, this album. I really enjoyed it when I was in high school because it was just kind of hard hitting and punching, but one song is enough. The rest of it is just so repetitive. There's no clean, this is before the band were using clean vocals in the albums, so it didn't really have anything to break that kind of mould. So it's just kind of stale these days, and it's not something I can listen to all the way through. So for that reason I'm giving it a thumbs down. Thumbs slightly angled towards my chest, that's what I'm giving it up. Thumbs down. This album's kind of a rough one for a lot of people. A lot of people hate it because of the production. It's very brick-walled, it's very loud. The bass drop sounds like it's shattering every instrument that's on the song. But you know what? I fucking love this album. It's so... The production of it kind of fits because it's just so aggressive, it's non-stop, it's relentlessly heavy. And there's a lot of twists and turns in this album. There's like a pop-punk section in some songs. A lot of cleans show up out of nowhere. But you know what? This album is absolutely flawless. I also like the fact that it's a really serious album, but at the same time it doesn't seem to be taking itself too seriously in the way that it's kind of structureless. Wait, structureless and structures? I'm giving this one a thumbs up. The HAARP Machine by Disclosure, after several teasers on YouTube and several controversial posts about the band's authenticity, this album finally got released, and I really enjoyed this album. If you take away the fact that a lot of the people think the guitarist is faking it when he's playing because it's kind of, you know, it's a little bit sketchy, this is a great album. Like, it's really, really fun to listen to. It's the band's only full release, and it's kind of good that it stayed that way because, you know, it's like you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a really djent band. So for that reason, do you know what? I'm just going to say yes. There's nothing I can really say about this album that's going to justify it other than listening to it. If you like Joshua Travis going absolutely nuts on the guitar, if you like extremely aggressive, fast-paced music, and if you just like big, heavy, low-tuned grooves, then go listen to this album. I know I didn't really do it justice there by not really talking about it, but it speaks for itself. I was shown this album by my brother. Sadly, it was like I heard the song a week after the band had split up. But to this day, I still listen to this album all the way through, start to finish. There's a couple of curveballs on it that I don't really like too much, like the spoken word at one point. There's also a Nick Cave cover that kind of just appears in the middle. It doesn't really fit, but this album is a masterpiece 100%. I cannot stress it enough. I can tell that a lot of people might not like it because there's a lot of crazy, like the vocals aren't exactly traditional. If you like something that's an absolute cluster that somehow makes complete sense at the same time, check out this album. And I'm giving this one a thumbs out of 10. Now, before I get into this one, let's not deny the fact that Tosin Abasi is an unbelievably talented man. and he's somewhat of an innovator when it comes to this genre, implementing some of his techniques into this genre, but this album did not have to be as long as it is. I remember listening to this in high school and it was blowing my mind, listening to how fast he was shredding and just every part of this album. But Jesus, it's like the biggest fest. It's so unnecessary to be that long of an album and just have nothing but you showing off. I get that the whole point of the album was to show off your talents, but four songs would have done that, and then you could have released the Weightless and The Joy of Motion, and then it would have been fine. I suppose this album did put the band on the map, even though it was just Toast and it did everything, aside from Misha from Periphery who programmed the drums. But like, I can't sit and listen through this all the way through these days because Jesus, it's so much. It's far too much. So for that reason, thumbs down. I was not aware of this band at all until they were coming to Glasgow in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen tour, which is the cringiest name of a tour in the planet. It was Periphery, it was Monuments with original lineup, so it was the two vocalists, Nima and Greg, I think, I don't know, and Tesseract. So I decided I would check out the Concealing Fate EP on Spotify before I got there, and fuck, Jesus Christ, I was immediately blown away. I couldn't believe I was listening to something, like, the minute the cleans come in at the start, I was like, okay, where's this gonna go? And then it just kept getting more energetic and more energetic, but the vocals were doing soaring high cleans and the frantic energy of the drums, the guitar tones, the bass tone, Dan's ridiculously amazing screaming voice. And this is an album that stuck with me all the way through 8 years, which is crazy. Feels like it only came out yesterday because every time I listen to it, it's brand fucking new. So for that reason, thumbs up. So there we go. There's a big list of these albums that I loved in high school. A lot of them still hold up. There's a few that I don't really like anymore. But you know what? It's just my opinion. I'm not saying the album's bad. I'm just saying these days, I just wouldn't listen to it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was very long, spoke a lot. I'm very sorry. Memes coming soon. I've just not been really in the mood to make funny stuff. And when you're not in the mood to make funny stuff, the stuff you make is gonna be. So I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit that bell because the subscribe button means nothing these days, and if you don't press the bell you're not going to get notified of the things that I am doing. And have a nice day. Goodbye.
It's the end of the video. I hope you like the video. It's the end of the video. Now I'm gonna go sit down and cry for half an hour.